A very good evening, Banjop. We are so honored to have a bit of your time for this interview. Before we begin, I would like to give a brief introduction as to what Advancing Northeast is. Advancing Northeast is a digital initiative by the Northeastern Council, the Ministry of Development of Northeastern Region, and the Northeastern Development Finance Corporation. It is designed to be a one-stop solution that provides information and guidance to the youths of the Northeast by creating a learning ecosystem in terms of education, employment, and entrepreneurship. To easily facilitate an organic connection, we host career talks where we bring in industry experts from the Northeast itself to serve as role models and mentors to the youth. For this interview, our career talk will focus on the music scene and what will help in making it, so to say. To impart with us knowledge from personal experience, we have with us Banjop, a well-known rapper and singer from Shillong. So to set the stage, Banjop, could you tell us about your schooling? Was it one of the places that contributed to shaping or building your music career?
First of all, I would like to thank NEC for giving me this opportunity. And with regards to my schooling, yes, it did contribute a lot to the work that I do as an artist. So I passed out from the school. I think we all know the school, Saint Edmund School. Okay, so I did my ICSE back then in 2004, and it has had such a huge impact because as far as I can remember, even from class 3, so we had a music teacher. Her name was Miss Duncan. We used to call her. I forgot her title, but we had a Miss Duncan who would teach us like the basics of music, the importance of enunciating the right words. Like we cannot just say like the. It's like the. So those little things that matter. And as part of the curriculum, extracurricular activity from St. Edmund School, we used to have these every year. Like we'd have school concerts, right? And a major part of that actually got imbibed into the whole structure of me being an artist, because it was my schooling that somehow built those somehow built the artist that I am today. Edmonds basically provided the, I would say, the building blocks, which triggered not right after I passed from school, because after that, I had to pursue for I had to go for my higher studies. But then later on, just maybe for the past 10 years, I have seen the little spark that Edmonds ignited in me, and it took shape like the moment I stepped into the music scene. So big shout out to Saint Edmund's School. I mean, factor non verba, which means like deeds, not words. So yeah, it was a major aspect, like uh, a major contributing role in my line of work that I do. It's all because of Edmonds. So yeah.
Thank you for that. I'm truly happy to see that your school was a building block for your career. And I believe
Yeah.
Ms. Duncan's teachings, especially on enunciating certain words, the phonetics of words really helped shape out your career.
Yeah, definitely. And we had Brother D'Souza, who was also who played a major role basically when I was in class 10. So he was my class teacher. But he always stressed on the fact that in order to make it out in life, you have to be well rounded. It's just not like academics. And yeah, like his advice actually took shape, and he was my main motivator. And as with a lot of other artists out there who basically pass out from Edmonds, they would always cite like Brother D'Souza. So he's no longer with Edmonds right now, but wherever he is right now, I just want to give him a big shout out to.
These are familiar names for people who have siblings or who some family members have attended Edmonds.
Yeah.
These are names that we're familiar with. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm glad to see that Their small contribution to a child's time in school has really shaped out for the future, right? And the better of it. That is
Yeah,
quality
definitely.
education.
Definitely. And right now, Edmonds is also doing a great job in prospering the artistic temper in the students. So, Brother Solomon right now is the principal. But, apart from the music that I do, I am also doing a day job out there in the Shillong Science Center. So I have had a chance to talk with brother Solomon, and he's doing an amazing job shaping up these young boys to become fine gentlemen who are well-rounded. So Edmonds as a fraternity, it's just not a school; it's a brand that gets carried over to the world, and we can see so much of impact. Like um, I'm so proud of my school. That's why. So, but then like you can see so much of impact being brought out by Edmondians, as a whole, be it in the bureaucracy, be it in any aspect of any level in the society. We see those deep impacts made by these gentlemen. So, shout out to Edmonds again.
Yes, and we know they will continue to foster more young minds into great leaders.
Yeah, definitely.
So our next question comes very organically. How did you come to do music professionally?
Uh, well, let me see. Back in the year before 2009, I always used to love like writing, right? So I compose, I write a lot of poems. So uh, there are diaries of poems that I write. But then over the years, what happened was uh, poetry basically was not enough for me because it's just me writing my penning down my thoughts. I wanted to express, right? So then what happened was I posted like one of the oldest clips, I think in SoundCloud. Okay, that was about more than 10 years back. And then it so happened that there was this one guy who basically did his schooling from from Shillong, uh, based in Guwahati. Okay, he's a very good friend of mine. His name is Stunner Beats. That's his alias name. His real name is Rajdeep. So this same producer is now working with Divine, like you know. So he gave me a call. Basically, we exchanged contacts, and basically he said, "I really like your stuff, and you should actually do this in a more professional way." I said, "Look, man, I don't have the equipment. I have tech, like the technical know-how is actually zero at that point of time, right?" And he was like, "You don't have to worry. I'm there." And just like that, we formed a sort of a group, and we labeled it like Foreign Flows, right? So we started basically from there. So I started writing, he'd also write, and it was a hard task because I had to shuffle from like what Shillong to Guwahati because his studio is there in Guwahati. So every time there's the weekends, I'm like, "Mom, Dad, I'm going over to my friend's place." So we'd like cook up. He'd cook up the beats, like, and I'd be like, writing down stuff, and we'd be recording. And ultimately, what happened was I found it a bit tedious. Okay, at the point of time, because it's basically I was also like, how it is, especially with b- it's financially. I was financially struggling because I desperately needed a job. So I had to like look for jobs everywhere, right? But thankfully, I landed this job. Okay. So anyway, long story short, at that point of time, I could not afford to waste much time. I had to like at least just support myself financially. So at that point of time, the music thirst in me was like, uh, I won't say died down, but the level kind of went down because of obviously the immediate need, right, to financially support myself. And right after that, like, I told Stana, like, man, we need to keep things on hold. He said, it's all good. So he went on with his music career, no doubt. And now he's working with Divine and everything. So for me, I had to, like, be here, right? So And what happened was, while I was working in Shillong Science Center, always work. I'm still working there, by the way, 10 to 5 job. But the pandemic hit, right? When the pandemic hit, uh, we were all advised to stay at home, right? So in order to pass the time, what I did was I started going back to my music. Like I used to write like a ton of stuff. So I was like, I really need to record, but I don't have a recording studio. So what do I do? Like, I just had my phone, right? And in my phone, I just went to the Play Store and I downloaded this app called BandLab. Okay, so it's a very good app in case you don't have a studio at home. So I took that out and I started recording, and I started putting it. I started posting online, and the moment I started posting online, like prominent names started to pop up in my feed. Like, man, this is like really good. This is like really dope. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And I went on with the next project again and again and again and again. And then I realized something like, I might have something here. And all of a sudden, I was approached by DJ Nak, okay, Duncan Karmalki. So he told me, hey, bro, why don't you work with us based in Shillong because we have a studio? So that was the first time when DJ Nak uh, invited me to be part of a project. Like back at the time, it just started out with a project. So I think that was during the right after the COVID uh, time. So I actually met Eric, and then we recorded like the first song was called Trophies. It was like um, it's future trap, so it really gets the crowd pumping. Okay, so that was the first. No, the first one. Sorry, my bad. It was Spitfire. Okay, so we recorded the song, and everybody also went nuts. So it was crazy, and at that point in time they were like, yeah, we need to have, this is something that we can take it to the next level. So that was basically the first time when I started to take things more professionally and more technically. And we've been working like though DJ Nag has other projects now, and we're more concentrated with like my our record label, which I'll come to later. It's called TM Pro. So I'm working with them because uh, it becomes easier for us to actually do things more professional if all the things are like divided and not just like uh, uh, what is the word called, if it's not like from one place of origin, right? So I didn't have to worry about who's going to take care of the visuals, who's going to take care of the like behind the scenes, this, that, DOP, cinematography. I had no idea about that. So my only job was to write and record. So that was the time when I basically started. And to be precise, it was roughly around 2018, that era, where I said like, you know what, I seriously need to really, really push now. Like my hands are free to do whatever I want. So that was when I uh, took things professionally. Otherwise, before it was more of me trying to fulfill my passion, like my, how you, like basically I treated it as a hobby. It was basically more like a hobby. But after I met these guys, like especially big shout out to Eric, Frank Sinister. So he's the sound engineer. He does all the mixing, mastering of all the tracks. So the moment we met, it just clicked, like boom. So yeah, and I got hooked up with like the really awesome trio of producers called BAD. These are all like local producers, and they're all currently pursuing like the technical courses. So basically one of them is an engineer, another producer right now he's getting admissions into IIM, right? So there's the and Ben right now is also pursuing his further studies and stuff. So he's preparing for exams and stuff, but side by side it's like studies and music, but somehow we're like going forward. So anyway, that's like basically it.
I guess to start off, I would like to confirm that we are not being sponsored by BandLab, unless you
No,
are being
definitely not.
sponsored by one
No,
BandLab.
no, 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 no. I'm just giving out like whatever worked for me. So so, and if in case I'm not like being sponsored by any app. We're basically as a record label also are not being sponsored by any political parties, organizations, nothing. Everything we do, it's out of our own sweat and thing. But the only thing that we can do is like give advice. And I'm just right now again confirming that I'm not being sponsored by BandLab or any other app out there. But I'm just sharing what worked for me. So yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. On another note, I love how you have used the pandemic to not just go back and pursue an old-time hobby, but also
Hmm.
launch a very successful career. So I know during the pandemic, a lot of people have taken up baking. And
Yeah.
while that has sort of panned out, you've done
Hmm.
something completely 180, gone back to your roots, gone back to what you've learned. And I love how you started with poetry and how
Yep.
you thought that reading it wasn't enough. Forget scansion, you needed a beat and you went for
Yeah.
it. I'm so happy I can, for lack of better word, that it's worked out for you. And I have listened to your tracks. They have a good melody, and I am a complete newbie to rap. It's not the genre I usually listen to, but it is
Okay.
addictive. I've had a few head banging lately through those tunes of yours. So thank you
Thank you so much.
for transforming something as dire as the pandemic into a golden opportunity.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you so much.
And well, obviously you've mentioned that you started with music as a child back in school, and then you
Yeah.
sort of made connections with people who knew what they were doing. I mean,
Yeah.
based on the engineer and the sound engineering and all these video editing, like these require actual skills. From your
Yeah. Definitely.
experience, I would like to ask you, have you received professional guidance from maybe a mentor or an academic course? And if so, could you cite some institutions or fellowship programs that offer these courses?
Okay. As far as professional mentorship or guidance, the only thing close to that I would say was Stunner Beats. Okay, and DJ Knack. I would say like that was a brief moment. But then talking about professional courses and everything, no, everything is like YouTube is my biggest teacher. That's all I can say. And I'm not sponsored by YouTube. So yeah, it's always do it yourself, you know. So YouTube has been like such a good mentor, such a good teacher, and I've learned like the because you see the thing is if you want to learn something, there's no teacher on earth who's going to be able to uh, give you what you actually want. It's not basically. So I'm not like telling those who are watching don't go for professional courses, but like the way that I approached this was I knew that technicality in rap is important because it is different from other genres, the same way that all other genres also have their own technicalities, right? So, for example, in rap, that technicalities such as metaphors, such as similes, like multi-syllabic rhymes, like etc. We can go deep into all of that, but I'm just giving you a glimpse. So, in order to get the technicalities right, I knew exactly what were the elements that were required. So all I did was just went online and you can say I self-studied, so to say. And if I could not basically uh, deliver it, I would practice again and again and again. Like, everybody want to know who that is, Shillong boy from, like all those stuff. I had to do it again and again and again till I got it right. So basically, it's all self-learned. Whatever I've accomplished till now, it's all self-learned and all thanks to YouTube. So it's a very good platform, and I suggest um, you know just like go to YouTube and type whatever you want to learn, and it'll definitely give you you know it'll give you your confidence to pursue something and learn. Yep.
On that particular tangent, I believe you should have at least a guide on your own YouTube channel about this, since you have obviously acquired a lot of information, a lot of knowledge on how to polish yourself. Maybe because you are quite a large name now, maybe people looking through your videos, they think that, oh, I believe I can do something. Maybe you can, that could be your next YouTube video. Just a short guide, maybe that can also encourage your fans and
Mhm.
prospect rappers. And maybe hopefully you will be sponsored by YouTube.
Hopefully. That's a very good idea. Actually, as a team, like I've talked to a few of my guys, and they have suggested me to do that. But as it is, time is of the essence, right? So, in order to do that, we need to create content which is also pleasing to the eye, which is also scripted, and we don't have the resources as yet. So, the moment we have the resources, I'd be more than willing to share all of that. But on a personal note, I have had rappers, local rappers coming up to me and asking, "Hey, bro, how do you write that? Uh, how do you write that line? Like how do you put in local references? How do you come up with like such technical framing of bars? We call them bars, which basically are like you know so, how do you come up with such schemes?" And I'm like, whatever their need is, I would personally advise them on that. But yeah, that is a good idea. And as a team, we'll be looking forward also to maybe implement that idea in the future. But as soon as we get the resources, obviously, like I said, we're not sponsored by anybody, and everything that we do is always on our free time. But you can do something professional also if you have a good team and you're willing to invest the time to learn. That's all I'm saying. So yeah.
Right. So, like you mentioned, practice makes perfect because that's what you did. You practiced till you got. Are there any skills that you think would be better to cultivate to make it easier to adapt as a rapper?
See, skills basically for me, because there are many types of rappers. There are those conscious rappers. There are rappers who like battle rap. So for me, battle rap, the way that the style of writing, I'm not a battle rapper. So battle rap is basically an art form in rap where a challenger stands in front of another opponent, and they use very witty lines to basically outsmart and outmaneuver, each other, right? So I'd be like, oh, um, like for example, uh, man, you're like an atom. Why? Because you make up everything. Something like that, no? Like, man, you're an atom because you make up everything. That means you're a liar. Something like that, right? So, based on that, like, most of the skill that I derived from, and I meaning like me myself, I don't know about other rappers, but for me, I get really like I think I get that adrenaline rush whenever I listen to battle raps, and they say a line that makes sense, but it also has like two, three meanings at the same time, and all those words get framed together so nicely that it makes sense and also is witty. So that actually gets my adrenaline rush pumping. So that is one skill I would say. Like, in order for you to become an engineer of words, I think battle rap is a must where you have to like watch. Okay, and from India, I would say I think I'm the only rapper, to be honest. I don't listen much to like hip hop or rap, like as music. I mean, I listen to the J Cole's, I listen to the Drakes, but when I first got into the rap scene too, like one of the most important aspects that made me love rap as an art form was Lil Wayne, because when you check out the way that he frames words, it's just crazy. Like, so basically the technical aspect of framing words is an important skill that you have to learn. Otherwise, it's no different from other I would say, I won't say genres, but it it doesn't have the gravitational pull, because rap is something which is spoken. It is not backed by any vocal melody. So the thing that is going to hook you, it's always the words, and words that actually have gravity and not just like mutters and utterings which are very basic. Like for example, I can't go writing like a rap song like yo, today is a nice day. I need to go walk. Like, what? you know? So I have to write things like, oh man, like your bar is coming shorter than Lu Majao pants or something like that, right? Something with which reference something which people can relate to. Then that is going to be very addictive to the listeners too. And people are going, like, maybe they won't catch it the first time, but the next time when they do, they'll be like, wow, like, okay, so that was what he meant, you know. So like, yeah, basically that for me personally, the way how you frame, like, your bars, it's very important. Then number two, just because you can write well, just because you can frame your structure well, that is still not good enough. The second thing, if I rap in Khasi, ka accent jong ka di man long ba pure Khasi them later man ong ba, but fitip am nga kran fi kum ni tang ba like kum ta ti, I cannot go in that accent. It has to be like uh, pure Khasi, like ngashong hang ni marway but ngam jule kai na marman, like something like that. And the same goes with when you're rapping in English or any other language. So if you're gonna rap in English, you better make sure that sonically it sounds like, yes, it's hitting the mark, right? Because if you don't, because it's spoken, people pick up on that, and they'll be like, yeah. I mean, to the loyal fans, they'll be like, okay, but if you want to grab like new listeners, then that is important, I would say. Enunciation, which dates back to the time when Miss Duncan, taught us back in school. So you have to be able to sound good. You have to be able to make the lines matter. Okay. Uh, and then I think if you're writing on something which is more conscious, the ability for you to story write, like story writing is also a very important aspect in I would say in rap, because rap is a form of actually educating the masses too, right? So that's how rap basically came about. It was a revolutionary art form which wanted to challenge things, which wanted to make the people conscious, right, about the current situation, what is wrong with the system, what is, so and in order to do that, you have to be able to talk in your raps with a beautiful framing of storytelling. And if basically like the rapper fails to do that, then it does not bring so much of an impact. Sometimes I would say, um no matter whatever scheming of lines that you have, no matter how technical your lines are, right, they're nothing compared if you have a very good story in your rap, because the impact is more lasting in storytelling, right? So if you want to grab somebody's attention, what you do is, like, we call them pickup lines whenever, like, maybe a guy and a girl first meet, right? So it'll be like, oh wow, like, are you a Martian? Because you're totally out of this world. Like, for example, that'll be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. So that's like more of the pickup lines, right? So like a very catchy bar it's like a pickup line. But in order for the person to be more interested in the other person, for example, like if a guy is to keep a girl interested in him, he has to be able to narrate his story, right? He has, oh yeah, so this is what I've been doing with my life, this, that. Otherwise, it becomes something which is very shallow, you know. So those are the skills basically. But then, like I said, three important aspects: technical writing has to be there, storytelling, and enunciation of the words, which is mandatory, so, and avoiding cliches, because nobody wants to hear cliche words over and over again. So, and that is a trick, because sometimes the hardest thing is not to learn, but it's the hardest thing as artists is to unlearn something, learning it's easy, the unlearning aspect is hard, because it is something that is stuck in your head again and again. It's become a habit. So how do you remove that habit? So yeah, so avoid cliches at all instances. So that's all, like, personally, maybe there are more skills, but for me personally, this has helped me out. So yeah. those skills. Yeah.
So, in summary, from a layman's perspective, it is
Mhm.
practice, rhyme, puns,
Yep.
and just do,
Hmm.
which again, not
Yep.
sponsored by Nike.
Yeah, definitely. We're not sponsored by anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming to our next question, you mentioned that you
Mhm.
work with a couple of people, you have a label.
Mhm.
Are there any advantages or disadvantages when working in a team?
Yeah, so I have a team with me right now, and they've been not just active but very proactive in the music that I make. They are basically the, I would say, the backbone, right? So I would say the backbone of who I am as a artist right now. So I have a wonderful team, and we at TM Pros, right? So TM Pros is a record label, and with me, so we have artists like Gracel Robme. I think she's a very popular local, and also outside the state, she's represented the state like in numerous occasions. So we have Frank Sinister, who is also called Eric, as the sound engineer, BAT as the trio of producers. Then we have Rafael Lalu, he's a rapper. Then we have Vince, okay. So and then we have Alex, okay. So, and we have recently added two new members, which just for the viewers, okay, I'm not gonna share the name yet, but yeah, do do tune into TM Pros, and you will come to know about these brilliant new artists. Okay, so the thing with my team is basically I feel like work becomes more productive, and I'm not gonna go into the disadvantages because for me it's like a win-win thing. You know, if you have a record label, if you have a team working with you, okay, working for you, working behind you, working beside you, so it takes like people think like it's just being there holding the mic, record, done, your work is like done, but it's a long process. It's like maybe even till the point where I record, I think it's just 40% of the work done. The rest, like the team has to take care of it. We have to take care of the visuals, we have to take care of like publicity, we have to take care of like maybe we're shooting a music video, who's going to be like the DOP, who's going to be which organization, or whatever, who do we go to approach for that sort of vision that we have. So all of that is taken care of by my team. So it's always good to have a team. So there are no disadvantages in the team, but sometimes what will happen is because if it's a team effort, I think everybody needs to be on the same frequency. I would rather say that. So it would be disadvantages. It would be disadvantages if you're working with somebody who's not in the same wavelength as you, right? Supposing the work ethic has to match. By frequency, I mean like work ethic has to be matched. We may be friendly on in our conversations. We may be like joking half the time with jokes and everything, right? But when it comes to deadlines, like we uphold those deadlines, and I think uh, what would be disadvantages is if you have people who do not keep their deadlines in check, then it becomes more of a burden. Because for example, if I have people where I'm done with the recording and I expect it to be done, mixed, mastered within 3 days, and it does not get done, then what happens is, the team becomes more of a burden for me, right? The team becomes more of a burden because if I invest more time in it, maybe, who knows, I could have done the work faster, right? But personally for me, like having a team with the right frequency, the same frequency as you, meaning work ethic, it's a plus plus situation. It's a win-win situation, from all aspects of working professionally, and in order to make it in this I would say mini industry, because we're not an industry yet here, at least in the Northeast. We don't have major record labels yet, right? We don't. So everything is either done by private entities with backings and everything, so to say. But yeah, having a team is essential, right? Because right now we are at a phase where we are building the scene, right? We're still stuck in, maybe I would say at the max, maybe first floor. But in other places, they have attained the level of skyscrapers. We're still in first floor. So right now, I'm just glad that my team is also the ones. It's not that we're still stuck at the ground level. We're now like moving, inching closer, trying to grow the scene here at least. So yeah, having a team is a win-win and a must need for everybody. So yeah, no disadvantages there.
I really admire your prioritizing on the positives rather than the negatives. And from
Yeah.
what you've shared, it seems like you have a great team. You do work towards a certain goal. You're on the same frequency, on the same wavelength, and not like most people who are stuck with their group mates in a group project where they mysteriously disappear and it's just their
Oh
name.
yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, 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 definitely. And okay, so I thought of giving the last two names, like
That's
maybe right. So, but okay, shout out to One May, okay, and shout out to Mashan. So those are the final two members, and we're gonna cook up something really, really good together, all of us, right? So yeah, yep. So yeah, my team is awesome. So yeah, I love my team.
We're looking forward to that collab and their future music.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they're very hardworking people and very, I would say, very down to earth, Like nobody behaves like a rock star. Like even for the level of some of the major names in our label we have, uh, they're very down to earth. So it makes it very easy to work with. We exchange advices. We also positively critique each other. If that is not sounding good, if you're not looking good like this, would be like, okay, hello fam, that is not working well, that doesn't sound well, that doesn't look well. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, really, is it? Okay, okay, cool, cool, I'll just change it, rather than being like very stubborn, right? So yeah, it's a good team. So I think those are also some of the important aspects which need to be also imbibed in like teamwork, so yeah, that's it.
Thank
Okay.
you for sharing that insight with us. And
The
so,
pleasure is all mine. Yeah.
yes. So you've mentioned that, so we know that Shillong is known as the hub of music, right? But you've
Mhm.
mentioned we are still only at the first floor or the first level in a tall skyscraper. Do you think that Shillong is still, because in the past, everybody knows Shillong, it's just associated with music. Do you think that still
Mhm.
holds true currently, or do you feel we need more young blood on the scene?
Uh, See, the thing is, right now, why I would say at the first floor is because, how do you put this? So there are big names right now from the local scene, right? But I'm not talking about the artist aspect. I'm talking about a conducive environment wherein we can capitalize and commercialize art. Because right now, I'm not saying there are no artists who are basically making a professional living out of it. But why, for example, why does everybody go to Mumbai, right? It's because that is the hub. If you want to act, that is the place where you hit, right? So, or for any other places, like why do people want to go to Bangalore? Because that is the hip place, or maybe Pune, because that is like the part of the country where live music is crazy, and there's so much of big money, right? So I'm not downplaying anybody right now. Obviously, yes, there are big names. I'm talking more of as a grooming culture, right? A culture wherein Shillong is yet to attain that status where, oh, in the Northeast, if I want to make it out as a musician or something like that, oh, where do you go? Shillong. Like one day it will be, but right now, as I said, there are big names, and respect to all the artists who have represented Meghalaya like as a whole and taking the brand image of Shillong also with them. and in whatever genres they are, like big shout out and my respect to them. But I'm talking here about the culture aspect of it. Okay, and it's important to know that uh, brands are like important here, because if brands are not interested, that's like money doesn't come pouring in there. So as it is with any other aspect of anything that needs to be promoted, right? So it is what it is. Like for example, football. Let me give you an example. Like during the ISL, right? So we have Northeast United FC. Um, what if John Abraham was not the brand ambassador of that? You know what I mean? Like bringing big names here to set up something in order to watch it grow. It's not just like a one day kind of thing. It's not like a function. It has to be a culture wherein there has to be grooming from the grassroots level, like football. Football has there has been phenomenal change with the football culture here, especially in Meghalaya, right? Because you have academies like, for example, shout out to Lajong FC and all the other great clubs, right? But what we're lacking right now is basically the culture, the same like comparison or analogy I'm just giving in terms of football. So we need that sort of thing where artists are groomed, not just like, you know what, I'm just gonna pick up my mic and just rap like um 2 years before. No, like how are Messi is born? It's because he went to the academies, right? So we have to have that sort of support. The moment you're actually really phenomenally good with the technical trainings and everything, then obviously the industry would want you, because it is some whatever you do, it sells. And the moment there's a market there, boom, that's where the that's where the demand will lie, so that's what I'm saying. And yeah, and but shout out again to the how do you say this, shout out to the government also at the same time, okay? Because ever since last year they had this MGMT grassroots projects, where in every cafes they're encouraging budding artists to hit the stage and also get them paid. So that is one initiative even from the from the government of Meghalaya, and I really applaud it because it has given a sort of a startup, so to say, like for these young kids, these young budding artists, to go to cafes. You have clubs, you have bars, right? They go and perform, and it's being sponsored by like the fees, what do you say this, the pay basically is being given by the government of Meghalaya. So yeah, we have a good environment working for us. But as far as it being like, as far as it being complete, right, like we're still building right now. So we still have a lot of work, and it's only right to say this, that when we're in the building stage, right, there is no competition. It's just we are just helping each other out, like in order to build a culture, we cannot oppose one another, right? We have to be supportive and know how to positively critique, maybe in order to help, like raise more knowledgeable artists in terms of, like I said earlier, technicality and the other aspects. Okay, so as of now, like yes, Shillong is a musical capital, I would say, of the Northeast, and also might I say also for the rest of India, right? But there's still a lot of work to be done. And why? Because it's like um the way that I see it is like, for example, like turmeric, right? Out here, Meghalaya, Lakadong, right? So like previously, what happened was nobody knew about this, but it was because of initiations now that everybody's talking about this Lakadong, right? So the same thing with artists. We have the most phenomenally gifted artists. I mean, my God, if you just throw a tennis ball outside, like if it lands on somebody, it's like almost 90% chance that that person will know how to sing, or maybe play the violin, or maybe know how to play the guitar, or are in a church choir, or rap, or produce, or mix or master. So we have the, like, we have such talented people here in our city, and might I say Meghalaya also as a whole. So there is the supply, but where we directed demand, it is basically based on the packaging aspect of it, and it all goes down to the technical, technicalities kind. Because if something is not packaged well, or when I offer myself my artwork out there, it has to be like nicely packaged, right? Otherwise, it's just going to be there as, I would say, a YouTube short where people watch for 16 seconds, like, wow, you may get the views, you may get everything, but how do you move from there? How do you basically, how does your art move to areas where it's being um, um, uh, demanded? That's what I mean. So we have to create that craving from all these different entities, in order for us to move forward. So yeah, so that's what I feel, at least.
Yes. Well, thank you for highlighting that difference. I as well have seen quite a lot of talent in our state, like you mentioned, but we hardly have the support to nurture that talent. That's why there is a lot of flock in places like you've mentioned, Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, because there's a structure that can support these young artists. And that's why,
Mhm.
even though it's a cutthroat industry, even though there's a lot of competition, they feel that it's more viable an option rather than staying in our state because we don't have the infrastructure to support them. So I really applaud you, since you've mentioned that right now the music scene in Shillong, you should start nurturing it, and how every
Yeah.
artist, it's not a competition, it's more helping and supporting each other. So I really applaud you for that gesture of yours.
Yeah. Basically, because why I'm saying that, and I'll get back to the question if you don't mind me, because I misheard you somewhere. Yeah. Did you? Can you please repeat the question again?
The question, the one you answered,
No, the one after that.
the
Did
one
you ask a question?
no, I
Yeah.
didn't. It just said, I applaud your gesture for supporting other artists rather than seeing them as competition.
Yeah, definitely. I
That's
mean, yeah, definitely. Like, as it is, like, we should always be supportive. And right now, like, I might just want to highlight. See, the moment YouTube came into the picture, the moment uh, the power was handed over to the content creators in YouTube in the Khasi dialect, right? So we have had uh, it was bizarre and unknown and surprising to even hit like 1 lakh views before, right? But nowadays, one of the biggest names also out there, like for example, One Job Chocolate, right? So, see, I'm saying like there are two models out there. One is how you basically groom artists from a grassroots level, and there is the other demand also when it comes to the local market. For example, like One Job Chocolate, uh, he is fully utilizing the platform of YouTube, right? So whatever song that comes out of his, it will never go below 1 million. And for us, 1 million is like a huge number because it's like 10 lakhs, and some of his songs are crossing that barrier of 4 million. That's like, wow. And our population is, I if my memory does not if my memory serves me right, but we're, I would say, around 3 million, I think, like just the Khasi population. But then uh, yes, we are a small, and I might be wrong about the population of the Khasis, okay? So please don't mind that. But my main point being that as as a community that supports our own people, there is a market, because though yes, we do not our rural areas do not have pubs, do not have clubs, uh, do not have like these really nice cafes, but what they have are festivals, weddings. So if you are if you're a popular local artist and your name reaches through YouTube, you will start getting calls from, maybe, for example, because ours is like a very closely knit society, right? We have even from the Durbar Shnongs, right? We'd have a Seng Samla. So they'll have a youth week, they'll have a college week, they'll have some sort of a celebration. So, for example, in a day, if you get called by 3 functions, right? So, and they will obviously ask for your price, right? Like, how much do you charge this, that? So, yes, there is a very like lucrative business in that sort of model also, which in order to move in that direction, however, you have to have something which really sentimentally triggers people to be attached to you through your songs, through your melodies, through the way that these videos are portrayed, which resonates with them. The moment if you hit that formula, it means time and time again you're always going to be on the winning track, right? So as we've seen, like quite a number of local artists also nowadays who I am in contact with them, these like these really talented local artists who are bringing new sounds uh, into a scene which is now evolving into something which is self-sustaining, I would say, because of the YouTube music scene, right? But again, that is like the local model that I'm talking about. But if we want to maybe aspire to become somebody more internationally like acclaimed, or maybe even to the national level acclaim, we need to approach it from like whatever I said earlier, like having a culture that embraces technicalities, because there are news outlets, there are media outlets out there which actually highlight I would say Indian artists, but only after going through their music and making sure that every bit of it is done professionally. There's no exception. Like in the local scene, maybe if it's not professional, also you still get a pass. But in order to make it to the national level, to the international level, you have to have everything right. That means you have to be everything is has to be done like perfectly, especially when it comes sonically. You know, that's what I mean. And the only way that we can do it is by having that culture, that yeah, music community. Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to ask you if music was a viable career in our state or in the city, but you've already answered that. You've given us a very descriptive answer, as well as you've pointed out the positives and negatives and how one can build on this being a lucrative career. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. You have, I guess, the foresight when it comes to music uh, to even think of the answers to questions that I am yet to ask.
Oh, okay. I think it all falls in the same line of same line of thought, because we cannot detach like we cannot detach all of that the passion from like being supported professionally. So it all falls under the same line. So that's what maybe.
Yes. So, since I mean you are a rapper, you mentioned you also identify as a singer because you have released, I believe, two songs as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, are there any?
So
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Would
yeah,
you?
yeah, you were saying.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll continue the question, which is, are
Yeah.
there genres of music you think that should be explored more, be it in your own work or in the city of Shillong or in the state of Meghalaya itself?
uh I think whatever music that needs to be explored have already been tunneled into, because I'm hearing all these wonderful sounds from all these artists from all over like Shillong. But the one thing which I would love to hear is, I don't have a name for it, but supposing what if we can imbibe like our traditional instruments into something more contemporary and more hitting, right? Because we have heard, uh, for example, for me as a rapper, I would say like Indian type of beat. Then you'd hear all those like tabla being infused with the, with the other aspects of the instruments in the beat, right? For me personally, because I'm a rapper, so I'll talk from that perspective. I feel I would love to have more digitally. I would love to hear more instrumentals of um, Kasi influenced style, because right now, yes, they are there. I'm not saying that they are not there, but in order for it to go something which is very catchy, something like which is the moment you hear it for the first time, you're like, wow, okay, this is the sound I'm looking for, right? So I won't talk about music. I'll be talking about sounds. So and all different cultures all over the world have their own different sort of sounds. Like the moment you hear tabla, what does it like strike to you? It's like, oh yeah, that's like Indian, right? Something like that. Yeah. So the moment you hear duitara, I'll be like, oh wow, khasi. but then imbibe that with the other elements of whatever is needed to create that particular sound. So I would definitely want to maybe explore. Personally, I want to explore into the sound, because for me, writing, delivering on a mic, yes, it is necessary. But nowadays, I think as rappers, we can reinvent ourselves if we are more musically inclined also, right? So how do you work around a beat that you do not compete with it, but rather like merge yourself with it? So I'm not, as a rapper, I'll be like, oh, that is his sound, like this is what I want to do. So I want to explore more, not on the genre, but maybe coming up with a new sort of sound where people, the moment they hear, they'll be like, yes, that is from Banjop. And because I love my culture, I'm very proud of my culture. So I want to imbibe more more sounds from our Khasi instruments. So that's what I'm saying, and make more music, and make music from that, because as artists, we have to also understand that the instrumental is not the music, you're not the music, but the instrumental and you together become the music that people listen to. So right now I'm just searching for that right particular song, and I hope that I've we're working with the team right now. So hopefully it won't take long, but it's worth the wait.
Yes, we can see that there's a growing trend in utilizing all these traditional instruments rather than just the basic percussion or beats, or I guess
Mhm,
launch pads now. And I am all for that trend because I feel I mean, music should be inclusive, and especially
mhm,
a culture as diverse as ours, we should definitely tap into all these resources. And I feel you would
mhm.
be the perfect example, or like, the pioneer, for at least for like in the Shillong, like for Khasi rap. I can definitely see the music that you make mashing very well with this with our local traditional instruments. I look forward to your future
Oh,
releases that have these elements in them.
yeah, thank you so much. And I do look into, like, I look at myself not as like a name anymore, a rapper. I want to be known for a sound that comes out of me also, right? So that is what I'm trying to search for right now, the perfect sound. But I want my voice to actually match the energy with the traditional instruments. But in order to do that, the arrangement, the different, the different segments have to be in line with what I'm having up here, right? So, and in order to basically come up with something new, it might take a while. It doesn't just happen like one day. So you have to really dig in. Um, while most of the artists, and yes, it should be like dwell more into like songwriting and dwelling into album mode, or maybe going for EPs. uh, but for me, basically, I want to take another track wherein a different direction, wherein I'm trying to search for a particular sound that represents me, that represents my culture, that represents also the genre that I love so much. So these three things have to like be merged. So I'm still in the process of doing that. Like, I'm not there yet, but the moment it hits me is the time. Like, I know for a while. Mm, I know for a while, but it will be something that I can say, oh yeah, okay, fine, I have done something for music, at least, like, in the local scene. So yeah, that's what I mean.
I can definitely see you creating your own sound and it being so unique that the first few notes people will definitely relate to you, like how we have our
Mhm.
infamous Bond sound, right? Like I guess the crescendo
Yeah,
and the descendo, like everybody knows it's a Bond film from the soundtrack. So I'm sure you can
yeah,
come up with something that would signify your sound that can reach out to
exactly.
every listener out there.
Yeah, exactly. So it has to be like a trigger, like the moment they hear that, maybe from a bass line, maybe from the sound of the snare, something. But the moment it hits, it becomes like a trigger. I want my sound to basically become a unique one. Like, I'm not going to be another. I don't want to be compared to some other rapper or some other artist. I want to build my own branding of sound. That's what I mean.
Right. We unfortunately are coming to an end to our interview. I
Yeah.
have two
Uh-huh.
questions for you. The
Yeah.
first is there anything you would like to plug or promote?
Right now, I just want to promote my team, TM Pros. They're coming up with many songs. And in case you want to know more about me, I have an Instagram handle which is being managed professionally. Uh, I go by the tagline JO handle, sorry, JOPBRI, so Jobri, and y'all can tune over to my channel Banjop KN. So yeah, but from my side, I have new exciting content coming up. Okay, projects which I've been working for a while, and they'll be dropping very soon. Okay, so I think in case if you haven't heard my past song, the latest release of mine, so I made two releases. One was Work, and the other one was Lorni. So those are the two latest tracks that I dropped. So to all the listeners out there, yeah, do check it out, or maybe just go to my YouTube channel, check out my music. Yeah, that's it. And
I'm sure there'll be
and
And to end, I guess, I would like to ask you, from your personal experience, what advice would you offer to aspirants out there?
Uh, okay, never give up on your dream. That's it. Like, if you're passionate about something, if you're passionate about something, just follow it. But have that mindset that this has to provide food on the table. Because if you look at it from a perspective of a hobby, which I did all this while, actually basically it was basically not pushing me forward into the direction. And let's all be frank, if your passion becomes your work, like, that is the best feeling ever. So don't say like, I'm treating this as a hobby. Become professionals at what you do and don't take it lightly. Because if you do it as a hobby, then what happens it means you're just doing it out of fun. And if you're doing it out of fun and there's nothing like concrete, I won't say constructive, maybe it'll help to release stress and something, but if you want to make a concrete impact with concrete impact by the passion that you have to stop looking at it as a hobby and treat it more as something that you want to do for the rest of your life. Like, yes, there are times where you feel very frustrated because the biggest obstacle is the finance aspect of it, right? Because nowadays, let's face it, if you want to make something very professional, you have to have like proper gear, proper equipment. And even if you have those home studio bundles and all, like the minimum, I don't know about the current price, and I'm not supporting any brand, by the way. So home bundles, home studios, minimum maybe 15,000. But for a lot of us out there, like if you want to start out, 15,000 is a huge amount. And for example, for people who are working daily wages every day, so you want to hit the studio, but the cost is maybe, let's say, 500 per hour, right? Those are standard rates. And if you want to go for the mixing, mastering, in order to make it like into something which is well packaged, the rates can range anywhere from like 4,000 to whatever sound you want it. So finance will always be the biggest challenge, okay? But uh, don't let it like deter you from your goal. Because if you have a plan, and plan meaning manage your finances well, even have to, it's not that you know what, I just love music, I'm going to do music the whole day. No, like, um, a majority of artists, when they started out, they were also doing work, that be like maybe that be waiting at a diner, lani long, that be going to work extra hours as a mechanic. And I know people like that also, that be doing labor, that be doing manual work also, just to get that, save up that money in order to push it into the direction that you want it, which is studio time, which is very important. And once you do that, once you're accomplished with that, then make a list of targets that you have to accomplish. And if you actually do that and have targets, and stick close to your targets and goals, do not procrastinate, do not postpone anything. What needs to be done has to be done. I mean, you can and again, if you have any doubt, like, the internet is a wonderful place. You can learn so much, right? And maybe, and yes, and it's important also, for you, if you're struggling, don't struggle alone. Also be amongst your peers, right? Whoever is interested in the same stuff that you do, you build a group together, right? And then from there, maybe you can build a team, like, and then who knows, one day maybe you can come up with your own record label and stuff like that, right? But uh, you need to have like-minded people, and don't listen to people, like, for example, even in the olden generation, and by olden generation I mean like maybe your mom, your dad, right? So, or maybe your aunts, your uncles, your relatives, because I've had this said to me so many times also, uh, like, oh, what is that guy doing? He's always like, yo, 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 there is no future for him and all that, right? So I'd avoid those kind of things. I'd avoid, like, I have to be like mentally bulletproof. Like, they can throw anything at me, I'm like, okay, okay, let's see. Stick to your goals, and you have to have a bulletproof mind, because if you want something in life, you always have to be bulletproof. Like, that is something on a personal level which I'm telling you, because finances, yes, like, those are obstacles, but even bigger of an obstacle is trying to shield yourself from all the negativity out there, right? And when you're starting out at first, you may not be sounding good, right? You cannot expect to just do something at the start and be like, yeah, I'm a perfectionist, like, I'm whatever I do, right? Not a perfectionist, sorry. um I am at my perfection, but make sure, even if you're not at your perfection, make sure to strive to become a perfectionist. That's what I'm saying, because, like, perfection is your goal, but your mentality should be like a perfectionist. That's what I'm saying. So do not leave everything to slackiness. Every single thing that you do, like, invest your time, your energy, your thought. And and if you have those two things which I'm saying, like, money, work for it, side, part-time job, and secondly, the mindset, right? The mindset, bulletproof, and be passionate about what you do, like, one day you'll be up there. And 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 the world is also a place where you can also find like-minded people who are actually, walking the same direction as you. So what I'm saying is, like, just believe in you. And yeah, don't be distracted also. Sometimes also, like, a lot of us artists, we get a bit of fame too, right? Like, maybe we get a bit of appreciation that, oh my god, I'm the best out there. Like, ego basically kicks you, and you're like, you know what, let me just chill, relax, and before you know it, you're like 2 months, 3 months behind schedule. And nowadays, the thing is, consistency is always better than a one hit song. You know what I mean? So in a span of 3 months, you have to come up like, okay, what after this? Like, one song I'm dropping, okay, done, dropped. Okay, what after this? Video, done. And what after this? Another song, done. Da, 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 da. So everything has to be like, you have to think in terms of treating the work that you do as an office, wherein you'd have to have even like uh, an annual plan beforehand, a plan of action, so to say. So have all those things, and, like, look at it as a profession from the start. Like, this is your own startup, like, like the startup which is blessed. Like, nobody can give you this startup. Like, this startup is something which is your talent. So make use of that startup, and that's it. You know and stay humble always.
Thank you for that sound advice. I'm sure it's much appreciated, especially in the young upstarts. They would do well to heed this advice coming from a seasoned professional such as you. And
Thank you so much.
and I guess we are at the end of our interview. I would just like to go back and bring up. You mentioned that you aren't a battle rapper, but I would like to ask,
Yeah,
freestyle rapper. And if
yeah.
so, you do a slide, like a tiny clip, a sample, or you could say freestyle about this interview, this experience that we shared.
Mm, okay, so first off, I'm not a battle rapper because I've never battle rapped anybody, and I enjoy the art of battle rap, right? And if you want me to freestyle, so what do you want me to include in the freestyle? Just about I'll just give a big shout out to
Anything is fine.
you.
I mean, if you believe I've done a good enough job to deserve it, I would much appreciate that.
Okay, yo, yo, yo. So it's your boy Banjop. We out here interview out loud with Lisa. Every time I step in the building, I make it fire. Most of the times, every now and then, 10 to 5, I devour. Any rap battles I'm in, I've never been. But every time I enter the scene, these people leave. Why? Because they're scared of me. But no matter what it is, this is BANJOP 793 giving a big shout out to NEC. Yo. So yeah, something like that.
That's great. You actually rhymed. I, in your position, would have just blanked out, would stare very glossily at the person interviewing me. Thank you so much for for giving me a little treat. And
The
with
pleasure is all mine.
with that as a sample, we know now for a fact you will keep releasing S tier music, and we look forward to that. Thank you once again for
Mm.
your time, and goodbye.
And and thank you to NEC for having me. And it's such an honor for me also to be in this platform because NEC is something that is working for the betterment of all us from the Northeast, and a huge major salute to to NEC also for recognizing me as one of the other, I would say, influential people to actually speak about the topic. I mean, I'm not there yet, so to say, but it is encouraging for artists like us to basically get the support of NEC, So it really inspires us, and keep up the good work. And you're a really good host, by the way. So yeah.
Okay, then. Bye.
Okay, bye bye. Bye.